Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is time for the Pine Hockey Eagles post-game show. I am Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn. Seth Joyner, Devin Caney will join us later. They are now 7-0, another routine victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. Today, it was the A.J. Brown show. A.J. Brown just going off for the Eagles today. A bunch of touchdowns for big plays. Even Zach Pascal gets into the act. The Eagles actually scored one touchdown where they had to take a snap in the red zone, which shows you how efficient they were busting up the big plays. That's what they want to do. They're always talking about those impact plays. They did it again today. A rather routine victory for the Eagles. I'm not going to sit here and complain about anything. Guys, how you feeling?
You know, the interesting thing about this game was, you know, we've been spoiled so much to watch them run the ball effectively. And obviously they identified something early in this game where they knew that the A.J. Brown matchup, whoever they put him on, was a no contest. And I tell you what, Jalen Hurts was dropping dimes today, man. What an efficient passing game for Jalen Hurts on this day. The Eagles, we knew they would win decisively. I didn't think it would be this decisively, but the bottom line is they're 7-0 and rolling right now, Seth.
Well, listen, it's one of the more complete games, you know, that you would expect for them. You know, we expected for this team to win this football game. But they played good football all the way through this game, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Just consistent all game long. They didn't really run the ball as much as they normally do, but they still averaged, you know, over 4 yards a carry. So when they needed to run the ball, they ran the ball effectively. I think that, you know, this is the game that everyone has been waiting on the Eagles to put together, a complete game from start to finish. They scored in the first quarter. They came back. They scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. They scored in the third and the fourth quarters. So obviously the time off helped the coaching staff to figure some things out and figure out how to get a complete game. And I would assume, because I just know from experience, you know, no matter how good you play, you know, when you look at the film, there's some things that you know you missed. And no matter how bad you play, it's never as bad as you think it is. There's some things that you did good. But this is a good win coming off the bye for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, and you know, it's the same script. They seem to do it every week where they just load up on a team, they get ahead comfortably. Whenever a team makes a mini run, and the Steelers made the very mini of miniest runs, they answer with a 2-play touchdown, bang. And then in the second half, they say, we're not going to let you beat us with a big play. And Kenny Pickett had a decent day for a rookie. He made a lot of completions. But, you know, the Eagles are going to follow this script, Seth. And I know it sometimes irritates us that they don't get more aggressive, especially with a young quarterback. But they're in control so much of the time that maybe he's doing the right thing.
Well, listen, I don't have any issues with what they do on the offensive side of the ball, you know, until they get to a point where they get too pass heavy. But obviously they saw a matchup with A.J. Brown today that they thought that they could exploit. And they knew that Pittsburgh wasn't just going to sit back and allow Jalen Hurts to sit in the pocket and operate from the pocket. So they came at him, and every time they came at him, he hurt him. So I don't have a problem with that. You know, the issue sometimes can be, with me, is on the defensive side of the ball. Because you got a rookie quarterback who's just still learning, you know, the complexities of defenses at the highest level. And you don't come after him, you don't put pressure on him all day, you only blitz him one time. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying it because, you know what? When after Jordan Davis got hurt and they had to go to their 4-man front, they got no pressure all day long.
What have I been saying all season? This 4-man front is not good enough to just get home against some teams. You look at the defensive front like Buffalo's. They can 4-man front you all day because their personnel is just that good. For as much money as that's invested in this Eagles 4-man front, I don't understand why it doesn't do a better job on its own of getting pressure on the quarterback.
Well, I can tell you why, D-Gun.
What is that?
Listen, they don't have the premier outside rusher. That's the first thing. You might have it in Hassan Reddick, but I've been saying even when they signed him, he's a good pass rusher.
Yes.
Maybe above pass rusher.
Yeah.
But he's not an elite pass rusher. An elite pass rusher is a guy that you have to worry about every single down, okay? Now, he's going to get his sacks. After 7 games, he's got 5.5 sacks. That's pretty darn impressive.
Absolutely.
Okay? But the leaders had 6 sacks after 4 games. Those are the elite level guys. And because they don't have that elite level outside guy, that puts the pressure on everybody else. Then when you have to go to the 4-man front, the problem is when you go 4-man, that means that somebody's got to be double. And when somebody's double, if those guys on the outside don't win, or if they kick out and help on the guy on the outside, and somebody doesn't win their one-on-ones, then you got a problem. You know, so especially if you're going to sit back and you're going to play zone behind it, now you give a young quarterback time to decipher what's going on in front of him and pick it apart.
All right.
I say this every week. You're not wrong. But I can't sit here and play, well, what about later? You know, I just, the way this team handles their business every week.
They find a way to win.
Mike, you better prepare for later. Because the thing is,
you're presuming that the same thing is going to happen later if they play a good team. Now, I don't know who that good team is. I assume it's Dallas. Maybe it's the Giants. I don't know. Green Bay comes out of nowhere. I don't know who it is.
What did I say from the beginning of the year? I said, I watch how a team plays over the long haul, because what? The future habits, the past habits are a future preview of what you're going to see down the road, and we're still seeing the same thing. So let's say that we get to a Christmas Eve against Dallas, and Dallas is rolling, and we got to have that game, okay? You're going to tell me that mode of operation is going to win you games against that offense if they're rolling and they're 100%?
I don't know if it is or not. What I can tell you here is that you're right about today. You would think with a young quarterback that he would put a little more heat on him. But I think that Jonathan Gannon looks at this and goes, we are so in control of every game that I'd be stupid to allow a big play to get them back in the game. So maybe the script changes. Maybe when you need to blitz an Aaron Rodgers or you need to blitz a Dak Prescott, he will do that, because he didn't blitz at all today.
He blitzed one time.
CJ Gardner-Johnson
we've
got
seen
home.
him blitz before a lot more than he did today. You're right. It doesn't make sense.
What's the definition of a lot more?
Well, there are times when he's blitzed
They've never been over 14% blitzing in a game, ever. Ever.
But more than one.
Ever.
More than one.
Ever.
Okay.
Do you know where that ranks you?
I get it.
Do you know where that ranks you in the NFL?
I get it. My point is they have blitzed more than one time, and I don't know what's going to happen against a good quarterback. I really don't. It doesn't make sense they wouldn't blitz Pickett. I get it. But look, it's 35-13. They win the game, and whenever the other team makes whatever kind of run, they've got an answer, and they just run and hide again.
Nobody's debating whether the fact that they won or not. This is a game that they won. We expected for them to win. Okay, I expected for the offense, to be able to score like this, because the Pittsburgh defense is really not that good. What I really expected was for Jonathan Gannon to take an opportunity against a young quarterback and a struggling offense with a bad offensive line to turn up some heat and work on some of his pressures. There were plenty of times where you got 2nd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, where you could come. And sometimes it's not so much just about the pressure. Football is a field position. It's a real estate game. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Even if you have to punt. They only punted twice today. Yeah. But even if the offense is having a bad day, and I guarantee you somewhere along the line, the offense is going to struggle, and they're going to need the defense to carry the day.
I can't argue with that.
So when you start talking about – wait a minute. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
When you start talking about football is a real estate proposition, okay? When you go sticks and you give up 13 of the 14 is necessary for a first down, now all of a sudden, guess what you've done? You've taken 13 yards away from your offense when the ball is punted in the other direction.
Derek, 17 sacks coming in. Their pressure rate was 28.9%. That's not terrible. So I got to think that the defense coordinator is looking at that and says, we're okay there. Maybe I could blitz a little more. Hargrave got home today. Hargrave was a beast today. So,
yes, he was.
Yeah, so, I don't know. We keep talking about that he's got to be more aggressive. And I go, show me a team where that lack of aggression is going to really hurt them. You're saying, I don't want it to get to that point. I want preventive maintenance. That's what you're saying, right? I look at it and go, they don't need, like, I sit here and complain about it when they don't need it right now.
Hey, D-Gun, part of good defensive coordination is giving the other team's offensive coordinators a bunch of stuff to prepare for it, okay? So if I don't have much in my blitz package, we're not worried about it that much because they don't blitz.
I can't argue.
I sit here, and I'm going to sound like a politician because I want to appease everybody. You make a valid point. When you look at what they've done through the first 7 games defensively, no matter how much real estate they give up, they find a way to shut it down. They are plus 13 in the takeaway department. You know, that's far head and shoulders above everybody else in the National Football League. They make a necessary stop when